Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Scott Vanderkook. We have the mother, Ascenda Collier, mother's attorney, Ms. Golden, father's attorney, Deborah Coletti, who's here for Michael Tiburon, representing both fathers. We have Terrence Smith appearing from St. Louis prison. And again, Ms. Coletti is here representing him. We have the children's attorney, Mr. Green, and various agency workers. And it's my understanding that both parents who are present today do intend to enter a plea. Is that correct, Mr. Vanderkook?
Yes, and we do have to take some testimony on the unknown father for AC and KC.
Okay. All right. And if you would just, and it's also my understanding that there is a revised or amended petition. Would you please place that on the record, Mr. Vanderkook?
Certainly, Your Honor. Paragraph G is in golf will be stricken in its entirety. Paragraph H is in hotel. We'll have the second and third sentences stricken. After the last sentence, we will add the statement, Ava was diagnosed with poor weight gain period. During that time period, Ascenda was constantly moving from place to place as she was hiding from a domestic abuser, period. Paragraph I is in India, J is in Juliet will be stricken. K, L, and M will remain, and paragraph N is in November will be stricken.
Ms. Golden?
Yes, Your Honor, that is my understanding.
All right. Ms. Coletti?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
All right. And Mr. Green, do you believe that the proposed pleas are in the best interest of these children?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. And to anyone's knowledge, are any of these children eligible for membership in a Native American band or tribe?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
Ms.
Right.
Malloy, did you inquire of Native American history or ancestry?
I did, and it was denied.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Ms. Golden and Ms. Coletti, do your clients waive the reading of the petition?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Collier and Mr. Mr. Smith, would you raise your right hands? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And Ms. Collier, would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Ascenda Collier, Ascenda, Collier, Collier.
Mr. Smith, would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Terrence Smith, Terrence Smith, my bad.
All right. And do either of you have any questions about the amended petition?
No.
Ma'am?
Yes, I do.
You do? Do you need to speak with your attorney?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then we will, great. We are back on the record. And Mr. Smith, do you understand the petition or do you have any questions about it?
Yes, I understand it. No, I have no questions.
All right, and do you need to speak with your attorney any further?
No.
All right. There are a number of rights that both of you will be giving up if you in fact enter a plea to these allegations. The first is the right to a trial by a judge or a jury. The right to require that the prosecutor prove the allegations in the petition by a preponderance or a majority of the evidence. The right to question the prosecutor's witnesses in person in court under oath. The right to have the court order that any witnesses you believe could be helpful to you come to court to testify. Do you have any questions about these rights, Ms. Collier?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Do you understand that the rights that you will be losing or giving up if you enter a plea today? Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Right? There are a number of possible consequences that may flow in the future from your plea today. The first is that your children may be made temporary wards of the court, which means the court has broad discretion regarding their placement, which can be in foster care with a relative or in a suitable institution. You will be required to comply with a treatment plan to show that you're able to provide a safe and appropriate home for your children. You may be required to pay for some of the costs of this case, including your attorney's fees, costs of care if the children are placed outside of the home, counseling costs, and similar costs. We all hope that the next thing will not happen, and it's certainly not happening today or anytime soon, but I am required to tell you about all of the possible consequences of your plea. If you cannot show that you can provide a safe and appropriate home for your children within a reasonable amount of time, given the circumstances in your progress, there may be a future request to terminate your parental rights, and your plea today may be used as evidence in that future proceeding. If your rights are ultimately terminated in the future, you will have no input as to your children's medical treatment, discipline, education, or residence. You would also have no right to parenting time with your children, no right to inherit from them or receive their earnings. If you have a child support obligation, it will continue until a court of competent jurisdiction modifies or terminates it, an order of adoption is entered, or the child is emancipated by operation of law. Ms. Collier, do you understand all of those possible future consequences?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Smith, do you understand all of those possible future consequences?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Collier, do you have any question regarding those possible consequences of today's plea if you choose to admit the allegations in the petition?
No.
Mr. Smith, do you have any questions about those possible consequences?
No.
Right. Ms. Collier, have you reviewed the amended petition and the plea with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
Do you need to speak with her again before we proceed?
No.
Mr. Smith, have you reviewed the petition, the amended petition and the plea with your attorney?
Yes.
And do you need to speak with her again before we go further?
No.
Next, I'm going to go through the petition paragraph by paragraph and ask for each of you to respond with either admit, deny, or admit upon information or belief. And paragraph A reads, Ms. Ascenda Collier is the biological mother of AC, KC the eldest, and KC the youngest. Ms. Collier,
Yes.
you admit?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Paragraph B reads, the father of KC the eldest is Terrence James Smith by way of Affidavit of Parentage, number 2024031110. Ms. Collier,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Okay, by saying yes, you're saying that you admit that allegation. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. We just need to have a clear record of what you're saying yes to. All right, paragraph C, the father of AC and KC, the youngest, is unknown. The unknown father has not come forward to provide any care, custody, financial, or emotional supports for the children. The unknown father has done nothing to rectify the conditions that exist in the home which caused this case to come before the court. Ms. Collier.
And, Kingston, I want a DNA test for Terrence Smith. Is the father. I've told the courts that.
Okay, but at this point, because there has not been a DNA test to prove it, the father is unknown as far as this petition is concerned.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So then you admit that allegation that there's been no support provided by whoever the father is?
Yes.
Okay. Paragraph D reads, Terrence James Smith is currently in prison at the St. Louis Corrections Facility. His earliest release date is It says March 19th, 2022. I believe that must be a typo.
Yeah, that's wrong. My earliest release date is next month on the 24th.
You have
Oh,
no
okay.
objection to.
All right, was March 19th, 2022, was that your earliest release date originally?
Yeah, that was my earliest release date before I came back.
Okay, all right. And it continues, his latest release date is November 13th, 2034. There is no fit or willing placement to care for the child outside of the court assuming jurisdiction. He is unable to provide for proper care and custody of his child. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay. Paragraph E reads, Terrence has the following relevant criminal history: 2016 attempt misdemeanor, police officer assaulting, resisting, obstructing; 2016 felony police officer assaulting, resisting, obstructing; 2017 felony home invasion second degree; 2025 felony tampering with electronic monitoring device. Mr. Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
you admit?
Yes.
Okay. Paragraph G was stricken. Paragraph H reads, on March 18th, 2026, the children were taken to Helen DeVos Children's Hospital and Dr. Deanna Deschler examined them. She reported that Casey, the youngest, had not been to the doctor since his 6-day infant check. She reported that Ms. Ascenda Collier has several no-show appointments for her children. AC was diagnosed with poor weight gain. During that time period, Ascenda was constantly moving from place to place as she was hiding from a domestic abuser. Ms. Collier.
Yes.
Paragraph I and J were deleted.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, did we miss paragraph F as in Frank?
We sure did. Thank you. We're going to back up. Paragraph F reads, on March 17, 2026, Children's Protective Services, CPS, received allegations for physical neglect and homelessness. CPS investigator Monty Martin met with Ms. Ascenda Collier. A safety plan was put in place by Ms. Collier that the children would go with maternal grandmother, Ms. Deborah Collier. However, 2 days later, Ms. Collier said she could no longer care for the children. It says Mr. Collier.
I'd move to amend that to Ms. Collier.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, and just for clarity, are we talking Deborah Collier or Cinda Collier? We probably should clarify that on the petition.
Ascenda, Your Honor.
All right, any objection to that amendment?
No objection.
No objection, yeah.
All right,
No objection.
okay. So I will reread that sentence as amended. A safety plan was put in place by Ms. Collier that the children would go with maternal grandmother, Ms. Deborah Collier. However, 2 days later, Ms. Collier said, Ascenda Collier said she could no longer care for the children. Ms. Collier?
I didn't say I can no longer care for my children. That's incorrect. Those
Your
words
Honor,
never came,
actually,
those words never came out of my mouth.
All right, Ms.
Should
Golden.
that be Ms.
Your Honor,
Deborah?
I think it
Hold-
should be Deborah Collier.
That
Okay,
makes more
Ascenda.
sense to me. So
All right.
Yes,
we
Thank
will
you.
amend it based on the testimony to indicate Deborah Collier said that she could no longer care for the children.
My apologies, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Collier, now with that amendment, is that correct?
Me?
Yes.
Oh,
No, ma'am. This is strictly for the parents. Ms. Collier, do you admit that paragraph now that it's amended to indicate that Ms. Deborah Collier indicated she could no longer care for the children?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, and I think we're on K at this point. Am I
Yes.
correct? Okay. Paragraph K reads, on March 25th, 2026, Ms. Ascenda Collier called CPS frantic and reported she was being kicked out of the home she was currently at. She reported that CPS needed to help her with her children and getting them to family. Ms. Collier reported that she was in need of mental health services. Ms. Deborah Collier came and picked up the children with CPS's assistance, and CPS drove Ms. Collier to Pine Rest for an evaluation. She was discharged, and the family refused to keep the children. Ms. Collier.
Yes.
Paragraph L reads, on March 20th, 2026, CPS placed Mrs. Senda Collier and her children in a hotel as the place she was staying denied allowing her to stay any longer. Ms. Collier reported that she was working with Family Promise for placement the next day. Placement was not provided the next day, and the hotel stay was extended to April 1st, 2026. Ms. Collier.
Correct.
Paragraph M, Mrs. Senda Collier completed a drug screen on March 19, 2026 and was positive for THC, 267.5 nanograms per milliliter, cocaine, 2.4 nanograms per milliliter, and benzoylecgonamine, BZE, were present. She was drug screened on March 25th, 2026 and was positive for THC, 12.7 nanograms per milliliter, cocaine, 2.6 nanograms per milliliter, benzoylecgonine, BZE, 2.2 nanograms per milliliter, ECGONINE, methyl ester, EME, were present. She was drug screened on April 1st, 2026 and was positive for THC, 10.8 nanograms per milliliter. Ms. Collier.
Yes.
All right. And Ms. Collier, has anyone threatened you in any way or made any promises to you in exchange for your admissions today?
No.
Are you making these admissions of your own free will?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, has anyone threatened you or made any promises to you in order to encourage you to admit the allegations in the petitions today?
No.
And are those admissions made of your own free will?
Yes.
Right. Ms. Collier, has anyone told you that you would receive easier or better treatment from the court if you admitted the allegations of the petition?
No.
Mr. Smith, has anyone told you that you would receive easier treatment or better treatment from the court if you admitted the allegations in the petition?
No.
All right, the court is satisfied there's a factual basis to accept the admissions that have just been made by both Ms. Collier and Mr. Smith. I'm satisfied that they have been fully advised of their rights and are freely, understandingly, and voluntarily entering into these pleas regarding the allegations of the amended petition. I further find by preponderance of the evidence that one or more of the statutory grounds alleged in the petition are true, and that Ms. Senda Collier and Mr. Terrence Smith are respondents in this matter. Appellate review is available to challenge any errors in the adjudicatory process, which may be challenged in an appeal from the initial order of disposition following adjudication. If you're indigent, you are entitled to the appointment of an attorney to represent you on any appeal as of right and the preparation of relevant transcripts. You may be barred from challenging the assumption of jurisdiction or the removal of your children from your care and custody in an appeal from the order terminating parental rights if you do not timely file an appeal under MCR 7.204 or a delayed appeal under MCR 3.993C. At any time while the court retains jurisdiction over your children, you may challenge the continuing exercise of that jurisdiction by filing a motion for rehearing pursuant to MCL 712.A.21 or by filing an application for leave to appeal with the Michigan Court of Appeals. And Mr. Vanderkook, do you wish to proceed with testimony regarding the unknown father?
Yes, Your Honor. I
All
call
right.
Darcy Malloy.
All right, Ms. Malloy, would you raise your right hand? Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Yep, Darcy Malloy, DARCY, last name Malloy, MEALOY.
And do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Malloy, you are a CPS investigator with Michigan's Department of Health and Human Services. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you were assigned the case of AC, KC, and KC?
Yes.
All right. Were you able to identify the father of those AC and the second KC?
I was not.
Okay. What efforts did you make to identify the father?
I requested friend of the court information from Kent County. I also requested AOP records for both children, and nothing came back.
All right. Did you ask Ms. Ascenda Collier who the father
Yes,
may be?
yes,
And
I
what
did,
did she
sorry.
what did she tell you?
At that time, unknown.
Okay. Have you since obtained further information?
I know that during the preliminary hearing, she had talked about Terrence being the father of one of the children.
Terrence James Smith?
Yes, that's correct.
Which child?
The older one.
Okay. But you have no other information on the let's see, child KC, the youngest?
That's correct.
All right. And so to date, AC and KC, the youngest, do not have legal fathers. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. Has any man come forward to provide care, custody, or support for those children?
No,
Has any man done anything to rectify the conditions in Ms. Collier's home which caused this case to come before the court?
no.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Mr. Green.
I have no questions in regard to this matter, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Golden.
Ms. Malloy, so now that it's transferred to foster care, I'm assuming they would do a DNA test for Mr. Smith. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ms. Coletti.
Thank you. No questions.
All right, any follow-up, Mr. Vanderpook?
No, Your Honor.
Any follow-up, Mr. Green?
No, Your Honor.
All right, any follow-up, Ms. Golden?
No, Your Honor.
All right, any additional witnesses, Mr. Vanderpook?
No, Your Honor. The people rest.
Mr. Green?
In regards to this matter, no.
All right, Ms. Golden, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Coletti?
No, Your Honor.
All right, statements, Mr. Vanderpook?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's readily apparent from the testimony that the father of AC and KC, the youngest, is or are unknown at this time. We have no information other than the statements from Ms. Collier as to the identity of one of the children may be, but right now we don't have a legal father for either one. So I'd ask the court make the unknown father or fathers to the children respondents at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green?
I agree with Mr. Vanderkook. I think it's appropriate to authorize the petition, Your Honor.
Take jurisdiction.
I'm sorry. Yes, I misspoke. Yes, I'm sorry.
All right, Ms. Golden?
No statement regarding unknown father, Your Honor.
Ms. Coletti?
Thank you, Your Honor. I take no position.
All right, thank you. The court finds, based on the testimony that was just provided by Ms. Malloy, that paragraph C of the petition has been proven by a preponderance of the evidence. And the court finds that the unknown father of AC and KC the younger is unknown. All right, and Mr. Vanderkook, are you asking that your adjudicative witnesses be excused along with yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right,
No,
thank
Your
you.
Honor.
You're excused. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Green, are you prepared to go on to disposition?
I am, Your Honor.
All right,
Your Honor, this time I would like to call Grace McAvoy.
all right, would you unmute and raise your right hand, please? Would you state your name for the record?
Grace McAvoy, spelled GRACEMCABOY.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And you can put your hand down. Just Ms. Collier, let you know that we are going to mute you. It's only because we're not having you speak right now. To cut down any background noise. If you need, you or Mr. Smith, you need to speak with your attorney, just raise your hand, okay? All right, Ms. McAvoy.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. McAvoy, would you state your place of employment, please?
I am employed as a foster care caseworker at DA Blodgett St. John's.
And in that capacity, are you familiar with this case?
Yes.
Furthermore, have you either offered or collected materials which will help the court and all parties have a better understanding of this case?
Yes, I've provided an initial case service plan and 2 parent agency treatment plans, as well as drug screens from 3 different dates that Mrs. Cinda Collier has completed. And then there is also a case addendum.
Okay, I think this would, thank you very much. I thank you for clarity, and just so we can have some dates for the record, I would like to introduce those at this time, Your Honor.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. We have an initial case service plan and parent agency treatment plans for Ascenda, Terrence, and the foster parents. Those are all dated May 6, 2026. We have drug screens ranging from, I believe, March until the first day of May of this year, 2026. We have the Honorable Judge's Report dated May 22nd, 2026. We have a Children's Protective Service Report dated March 17. And then finally, we have a Quarrel Report for the 3 children dated March 18, 2026. Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right.
Thank you. And Your Honor.
Hold on, Ms. Golden.
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. I just saw that.
They're admitted. Sometimes it takes a moment for people to get off mute.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Green.
And Your Honor, in fairness to Mr. Smith, whose time I believe is limited, I'll begin my questioning there regarding him. Fair
I
enough?
think that's a good plan.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McAvoy, in terms of Mr. Smith, what are the barriers that he faces in terms of parenting?
Yeah, so as seen on the case service plan, we have substance abuse, housing, emotional stability, resource availability, domestic relations, and intellectual capacity. Regarding substance abuse, it was reported by family members that Mr. Smith heavily uses drugs and sells drugs while incarcerated. However, when I've talked to Mr. Smith about this, he has denied any drug use. We have yet to complete any drug screens because of his incarceration. However, we have discussed signing him up for random drug screens once he is released. And I also provided him with a substance abuse worksheet to complete while he is incarcerated. In terms of housing, he is currently incarcerated, so that is a barrier. It is not a suitable location for the children to live. However, he reports that he has housing lined up for after his release. And then in terms of emotional stability, he reports that he has bipolar and ADHD, and has a criminal history, as read out earlier, related to home invasion and resisting arrest. And then resource availability, he is currently incarcerated, however, has reported to me that he has 2 jobs lined up upon his release, his previous manufacturing position, and is self-employed. In terms of domestic relations, Ms. Collier has reported to me that they had some instances of domestic violence in 2025, which led her to flee that relationship, and she stayed briefly at a domestic violence shelter due to domestic violence with Mr. Smith. I have asked in my conversations with Mr. Smith, he has denied any domestic violence or a history of such. However, others also report that they have a tumultuous relationship. And it should also be noted that both Ms. Collier and Mr. Terrence Smith have reported to me that they are planning to get married upon his release. And then in terms of intellectual capacity, he has reported that he has a GED. I do not currently have proof of that, but I would be requesting that as soon as possible. And then overall, just the criminal history reflects difficulty in decision-making skills. However, we will be referring him to HRA Psychological Services upon his release.
Thank you. A couple of follow-up questions. Thank you for being so complete. First, I know we heard several dates in terms of potential release dates. What is the date that is scheduled? And I know this can change, but it's currently scheduled for his date of release.
Yeah, I've heard a few different things, so I can speak to what I've heard. Mr. Smith reported to me a couple weeks ago that his release date was June 8th. However, earlier in the hearing, I heard someone mention June 24, 2026. So I've heard different things about a release date in June of 2026.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of following up with various reports of domestic violence in the past, have there been any criminal charges or any police reports based upon those allegations?
Not that I am aware of, and there are no criminal history related to domestic violence. Related to any referrals and action steps, we have discussed participating in counseling at the YWCA. He has agreed to that, and it is a part of the parent agency treatment plan. And then also we would discuss family counseling if him and Mrs. Collier were to get back into a relationship.
Okay. You mentioned that you were, in terms of concerns about drug use, some worksheets that were provided. I know certainly it's challenging, if not impossible, to provide services while he's incarcerated, but are there any other packets that you're having him do or any other programming that he can do while he's still incarcerated?
Yeah, so in that same letter, I sent other worksheets related to anger management and coping skills. It also included a biological family history guide and demographics, so he could tell me more about himself and his family, his social supports and strengths, and also some of his needs. So that was informational and informed my report writing. He completed the substance abuse worksheet and then coping skills as well, and send them back to me.
Okay. Upon his release, do you think that supervised parenting time is appropriate?
Yes.
Is there anything else about Mr. Smith that would assist this court in its analysis of his involvement in this case?
Yes, I would like to note that he has had virtual parenting times with his with older Casey on one occasion, and there's another one scheduled for today. And he demonstrates a strong bond with older Casey, and she clearly recognizes him and wants to spend time with him and knows who he is. So I just want to speak to that strength, that there is clearly a bond there. And additionally, he has reported to me that he believes he is the father of younger Casey. And I have discussed with him completing a DNA test upon his release. He is willing to sign an affidavit of parentage if the results come back that he is the biological father of younger Casey.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Beckwell, regarding Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, while we're with the parents, then let's move on to Ms. Collier. What barriers does she face in her parenting?
Yeah, so the first one would be substance abuse. So upon removal of her children, Ms. Collier was tested positive for cocaine, BZE, and THC. In my conversations with her, Ms. Collier has denied having issues with substances, particularly in April when we had our intake. However, on May 20th, so that was last Wednesday, Ms. Collier admitted herself to inpatient treatment at Network 180 to receive a detox and expressed to me her desire to get clean from the drugs that she was using. Since being admitted, she has spoken openly to me about her struggles with addiction and simultaneously her desire to get clean for her children. And she has showed a lot of initiative and progress this past week. Additionally, we have tested her positive for THC on 3 occasions, but there were 9 missed drug screenings, which would be counted as positive. In terms of housing, Ms. Collier is presently homeless. She is currently inpatient at a behavioral health hospital and will need housing after being discharged. I have had many conversations with her in the past week about different options. So we've submitted referrals to Covenant House, Degage, Dwelling Place, Meaning in Colors, Community Rebuilders, AYA, and the list goes on. Additionally, her caseworker at that hospital is assisting with that process. And then resource availability. So upon removal, she wasn't unemployed. However, she received employment through FedEx, and her start date was last Wednesday, 5/20. But as you may recall, that is the date that she went inpatient for services, so we will need to reschedule that. Additionally, another barrier is emotional stability. Ms. Collier reports being diagnosed with bipolar and ODD, which is oppositional defiant disorder, PTSD, and reactive attachment disorder by history. She reports experiencing postpartum depression and anxiety, and overall just a lack of social support given her struggles. During the CPS investigation, it is my understanding that Ms. Darcy Milroy took Ms. Collier to get back on her psychotropic medications. On 5/20 of last week, Ms. Collier reported that she is back on her psychotropic medications and they have steadily been increasing that so she can reach a place of stability. And she's also receiving counseling there and group therapy. I would also like to note too that we have discussed referrals to Network 180 and I have referred her to HRA Psychological Services for a psych eval. Additionally, I would mention parenting skills as the children were removed due to neglect and unsafe sleeping practices. However, Ms. Ascenda Collier demonstrates strong parenting skills during parenting time. She has a strong bond with all three of her children. She is able to redirect them, she pays attention, she notices their developmental stages and adjusts her behavior and her parenting to meet those needs. Additionally, she writes them letters, paints pictures for them, journals about them, and overall just demonstrates an awareness of their developmental and physical needs and is motivated to care for them. There were 4 missed parenting times, but those were due to illness, as reported by Ms. Collier. And then social support system would be another barrier. Ms. Collier reports having an off and on relationship with her family. And during the intake, she reported that she has no other social supports. And then following that would be domestic relations. So Ms. Ascenda Collier, as mentioned before, reported to me that she fled her relationship with Mr. Terrence Smith in 2025 and stayed at a domestic violence shelter. She denies currently experiencing any domestic violence. However, on this past week during one of our conversations, she mentioned that she's receiving threats from a different person, not from Mr. Terrence Smith, from a different person that she had been living with over the past few months in related to the recent CPS allegations. And she does feel unsafe in Grand Rapids and reports that she has reason to believe that that person may follow up on those threats. So at this time, it is crucial that I refer her to domestic violence services such as Safe Haven Ministries for group support and advocacy and potential housing, and then the YWCA for counseling. And then finally, intellectual capacity. Ms. Collier just does not have her high school diploma or her GED. However, she demonstrates willingness to get her GED. And then additionally, we are planning to have her complete a psych eval to rule out any cognitive delays as a barrier to parenting.
Okay, again, very complete. Thank you so much. I do have some follow-up questions. Excuse me.
Absolutely.
In terms of housing, it sounds as though you and your colleagues are exploring a number of options. And I know this is impossible to tell, but sometimes you put on a waiting list and given an approximation in terms of when those options will become available. Where are we with that? What's the most likely option? Where do you think we'll be 3 months from now?
Yes, that's a great question. So we've discussed both short-term and long-term options, and I feel good about the options that we have in front of us. We just need concrete answers back from those services. The first one would be for short-term. If rehabilitation services do not work out, as Ms. Ascenda Collier has reported she's interested in, then we would explore shelters such as Degage or Covenant House. And then we could also be open to the YWCA or Safe Haven Ministries if she is eligible given her domestic violence history. And then we have discussed different rehab options. Let me just make sure we have a full list that we've looked through. So referrals have been made to Harbor Light, Salvation Army, Network 180, A Mother's Touch, and Our Hope Association. If she is not admitted to an inpatient rehab program, she is open to doing intensive outpatient at Arbor Circle and will be referred there.
Okay. So are you, and again, I'm not going to hold you to this because I know there are a lot of factors beyond your control, but are you confident in the weeks ahead there will be housing that will be made available to assist her?
I believe so. Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And in the meantime, we will also, we had planned to go to AYA for a housing intake a couple weeks ago. However, due to Miss Ascenda Collier being inpatient, we weren't able to make the appointment. However, that is something that I'm planning to do with her once she is discharged.
Excellent. I know you mentioned that she recently obtained a job and then is now in an inpatient program.
Mm-hmm.
As far as you know, will the job be there for her or not?
Yeah, Miss Collier has reported to me that she is sure that this job will still be there for her when she is discharged due to their legal obligation to hold the job because of the delay of her beginning was due to her mental health. And so and they are aware that she is inpatient, so we were planning on following up with them to just reschedule her orientation. If not, I'm confident that we have other resources in front of us to explore other employment options.
Okay. And I'm just going to sum up a lot of your testimony about emotional stability. It sounds like she's taking some meds and getting back on track. Is that fair to say?
That is correct. She is very motivated at this time to find emotional stability in her mental health so that she can be there and show up for her children. And she also has reported to me eagerness to begin counseling after she's discharged, and is looking for an inpatient program or a rehabilitation program that would also provide mental health counseling concurrent with substance abuse counseling.
Excellent. Excellent. I think your other answers were extremely complete. Anything else that doesn't fit into one of these neat categories about Ms. Collier that you believe would assist in this court's analysis of the case?
It would be important to note that recently I have received a report from Ms. Collier regarding a past, I would say, partner or somebody that she was living with over the past couple weeks. I'm not entirely sure of the status of that relationship. That person reportedly sexually assaulted AC in February 2026, and there is an ongoing CPS investigation. When Ms. Collier heard of these allegations, she left that person's home and has since not had contact with that person. And I think that is definitely worth bringing up because it shows that she was willing to create distance in a time when around people who would not be a safe person for her children.
Excellent. I might have a follow-up when we get to the children. I was remiss in not getting to one other important question. You've expressed that Ms. Collier feels a valid threat against her exists. Are you confident she's out of harm's way, at least for right now?
I believe right now she is at the current facility that she is receiving treatment at, and I am hopeful that she will be eligible for an inpatient or sober living program that would provide her extra safety. If not, I certainly would advocate for her to engage with services at the YWCA and Safe Haven Ministries, and I'm happy to create a safety plan with her. We've kind of discussed what that might look like once she is out of the behavioral health hospital. However, that is not my area of specialty, so I would like to get an advocate, a domestic violence advocate involved if she continues to experience those threats.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. McAvoy. Let's move to the children now. And again, we'll be referring to the children by their initials. AC, KC the elder, and KC the younger. Let's start off with AC. How is AC? First of all, where is AC currently placed? And obviously, we don't need exact addresses or anything like that.
Yes, AC is currently placed with a relative caregiver, and she has been in that placement since entering care on April 8th, 2026.
And
She is overall doing very well, as reported by her caregiver and other family members. I've also met with her multiple times during parenting visits, doctor's appointments, and things like that. She overall, she's almost 3. Her birthday is coming up, which is super exciting, and we have plans to celebrate that with the whole family. On when she turns 3, the caregiver will be enrolling her in preschool. So I think that's going to be great for her to learn some of those social skills, social emotional learning, and develop her vocabulary.
and parenting time goes well when AC is with their mother.
Yes.
Okay. Are there any concerns about AC in terms physically or medically or anything?
So it was reported to me that AC has a diagnosis of autism. However, I was not able to find this diagnosis in any medical records. And so I have re-referred her to early on assessment so she can receive a developmental assessment. And I've heard back from the caseworker. We just have yet to schedule that. And then additionally, another need would just be her developing her vocabulary. I'm hopeful that getting her enrolled in preschool would be a great start to that. She is reportedly nonverbal. She says a couple words here and there, but it's pretty limited. And then additionally, I would like to note that there has been a recent CPS investigation related to sexual assault allegations. It was reported to me that Miss Collier it was reported to me by this relative caregiver that Miss Collier reported that AC was sexually assaulted by a person that Miss Collier had been staying with in February 2026. Given that there has been an open investigation and AC has been referred to the YWCA and the CPS worker is scheduling that appointment.
Okay, so has CPS advanced this case? Like they still find merit in the allegations, or where are we with that?
The report came in last Tuesday and they picked it up on the following Wednesday, so there is an active investigation.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, AC, there were some concerns about her weight. Any are those concerns still present or not?
Overall, it's being monitored. I would say it's not a presenting concern any further. She, at her well child exam, there weren't any outstanding concerns regarding her weight or her percentile, and she appears well fed and happy and energized every time that I interact with her. Relative caregiver occasionally asks for assistance in various resources, which have been provided by other family members and the agency as well.
Okay, thank you. And Casey, where is Casey placed? Casey the elder, excuse me.
Casey, the eldest, is placed with a licensed foster home. She has been placed there since, it's been 2 weeks now. But she has been placed there. Originally, she was with a licensed foster home and then was moved to another licensed foster home that was willing to take her for long term. At that point, a relative came forward who was willing to take long-term placement of all 3 children. So we moved eldest Casey to her care. However, due to her doctor's recommendations, we had to remove the children from the home. And they have been moved since to that current licensed foster home.
Just to be clear, put a point on this. So in terms of when you said due to her health concerns, you mean the caregiver, not the child, right?
That is correct. The caregiver provided, I believe it is in the addendum, but provided a doctor's note that states Patient is unable to care for the 3 grandchildren due to her health diagnoses. So this was something that we had not prepared for, and we're very saddened by because they were doing very well there, and we want the kids to be placed with relatives to keep those family bonds. So ultimately, it was not an easy decision to make, but we had to follow the doctor's recommendations.
And I know there's been some discussion about this. There's been some discussion about this. In terms of placement with the current foster home, he said about 2 weeks. Do you anticipate Casey the elder staying there? Or I know there was some discussion about other relatives perhaps caring for Casey the elder. What do you see moving forward?
Yeah, so about a week ago, we had a TDM to discuss placement options. At that point in time, current foster parents have agreed to long-term placement if need be. However, we, as an agency, we are moving forward with assessing a different relative who has come forward and is interested in taking placement of eldest Casey and younger Casey. And so that is currently in process. She's working with our licensing, this relative is working with our licensing team. And I spoke with her yesterday. She's planning on providing respite for the children next weekend in order to help with that transition. So that's currently the plan, is to have them move there as soon as that report is approved and completed.
Okay, thank you. Anything else about Casey the elder before we move on to the next child?
Yes, so there was also a different CPS report that came to me. Licensed foster mom reported to me that Casey would have an abnormal reaction to diaper changes and normal hygienic touches in her private area, and which would include saying ow. And she also noticed just some marks on her legs. And so there was a CPS report made, and there's a current investigation. At that point, the foster mom and I took older Casey, to a nurse examination.
In terms of, and there could be no connection, but is there a connection between the allegations with AC and allegations with Casey the elder?
I'm not sure I can speak to that because as I'm not the investigator on the case, and these reports were made on separate occasions by separate people, and the reports were not aware of the other.
Fair enough. Thank you. Anything else about Casey the elder?
No, that is it.
All right.
Overall, she's doing very well.
Good. Casey the younger, who is approximately 6 months old. Where is Casey the younger placed?
Casey the younger is placed in the same licensed foster home as Casey the oldest. They've moved, every move they have done together. And so at this point, we are also, as we're assessing this other relative option, we're assessing for both Casey the eldest and Casey the youngest.
Okay. In terms of the medical health of Casey the younger.
Overall, Casey the youngest is in good medical health. He is a little low on his physical, on his weight and his height. However, the doctor essentially just recommended that we keep an eye on it, that he keeps meeting his feeding times and getting enough nutrition, that we start implementing other types of foods other than formula into his diet. And that's been going well so far. He does tend to throw up a bit, so I've discussed with the licensed foster mom and other family members kind of some tactics that we can do to help minimize that reaction that he has to certain foods. And then the family also reported to me that youngest Casey has some heavy breathing that sounds kind of like a mucus buildup. And so I followed up with the PCP, and they essentially did not believe it necessary for youngest Casey to come in for a follow-up, and said if symptoms worsened, that we could take him to the urgent care. However, that is the only concerns at this time.
Okay. And as Casey the younger is 6 months old, I know there's certain obviously developmental marks. Is Casey the younger, except for some concerns about weight, is Casey the younger at an appropriate place in the developmental marks?
Yes, he is meeting his intellectual and emotional developmental milestones for 6 months.
Okay. Anything else about case C, the younger, that would benefit this court in its analysis?
I think I'd just like to speak to how well the parenting times have been going between Casey, the youngest, and Casey, the oldest. They clearly have a strong bond with their mother and a secure attachment with her. They show signs of distress when she leaves, and oldest Casey, due to her age, is able to say her mom's name and often asks for her. And then overall, they're just both very happy children, and the doctors have basically just recommended that they keep getting their feeding times, they keep getting that exercise and activity they need, and we could enroll them in childcare if we need to.
Super, thank you. Anything else, and I'm glad you made that kind of connective comment between the two cases. Anything else in terms of the big picture, in terms of the children? Are they able, is AC able to see Casey and Casey, or just what's the big picture in terms of the kids?
Yeah, so ultimately, when they first came into care, our goal was to have all three placed together. However, at the day of removal, the relative with AC was only able to take placement of her due to her she needs increased supervision. She's pretty high energy, so needs a lot of one-on-one support. And she was only able to take placement of AC, so then at that time, the youngest have been separated from their eldest sister. However, still remains the goal that we find placement for all three to keep that sibling bond in place. Presently, they have had joint parenting times with Miss Collier, so they see each other at least twice weekly. And then it is also my understanding that the family members who have taken placement of the children see each other very often, and so the children are seeing each other more than twice a week. And so that looks at like family gatherings, community settings, also at the agency at times. And then additionally too, we are planning on hoping to find a placement for the kids for all three. So we are assessing this relative only for two right now, but that's because our priority is for the children to be with relatives. It still remains a goal, however.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. At this time, what are your recommendations, Ms. McAvoy?
So it is respectfully recommended that the children remain in placement in a licensed foster home or with an approved relative, that the children remain in temporary court wards, that the permanency goal remain reunification, parenting times for Ms. Collier and Mr. Smith be supervised, that all parties comply with and benefit from their parent agency treatment plans, and that a review hearing be scheduled in 90 days.
Thank you. I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Excuse me. Ms. Golden.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McAvoy, correct?
Correct.
Let's start, first of all, let's talk about the placement. So you're talking about, I know there's a sister, we had the TDM last week, and I think there was some misunderstanding or miscommunication between that sister, so there was a delay in getting the kids actually placed with her, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but as far as we know, she's very appropriate, and it sounds like the family is all very bonded together and they see each other quite often, correct?
That is correct. The last report I received was that the only thing we're kind of waiting on is some of those safety installments for her pool so that the children don't, fall in. So that's kind of the only thing we're waiting on. And she is planning on getting those installed this weekend. So hopefully this process will just continue to move forward.
And
Okay,
I'm just going to interrupt to correct the record because I'm a little confused. Is this a maternal sister or a paternal sister?
Maternal.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so you indicated that the goal is to get the three children together, correct?
Yes.
Okay, however, if the family members can't, if there's not a family member that's appropriate for all three of them, you're not going to suggest putting them into foster care, correct? So that they can be placed together?
Not at this time, no, because the goal that we came to at the end of the TDM, the agreement, was that it is in the best interest of these children to be placed with relatives. So even if the younger Casey's are placed with a different relative than AC, there still will be ample opportunity for these kids to bond and almost still live together because of the way this family operates. I've had multiple reports from that relative caregiver, from the relative we're assessing, and from the children's grandmother as well, that they see each other throughout the week. They often stay at each other's homes. It is a very tight-knit family. And so even if they are in separate placements with separate relatives, they are still a part of the same family unit, and it's almost as like they are living together. Does that make sense?
Yes, and then one thing that you said, I thought I just want to correct it, because you said that my client doesn't have support, but in fact she has her mother who's here, Miss Collier, and then her two sisters, one where one child is placed, and then the other sister where the other two are going to be placed, and they stay in touch with her and are very supportive of her. Is that correct?
Overall, that is correct. So partly why I said that social support was a need at this time is because during the CPS investigation, there were times when the family members were not willing to take placement of the children, or they would say that they could take placement and then were not able to anymore. And then they've also reported to me, and also Miss Collier has reported to me that there's times when they have blocked communication with each other even during this reporting period since the children have entered care. So that's why I say it's on and off, but overall, with persistence and with many good conversations, we've been able to find support systems and maintain those for Ms. Collier within her family.
Let me just stop you there. So currently, though, there is great support from all her family members. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And then I want to talk about, I know he's not my client, but because you indicated domestic violence was a barrier, but isn't it true? Mr. Smith has been incarcerated for several years, so he's not the person she was hiding from in 2025. Would you agree?
That would be incorrect, because at that point he was not incarcerated. My understanding is that he was incarcerated again in fall of 2025. So there was a few years there when he was out and had a relationship with Miss Collier.
Right, but didn't she say it was Darian? There's a person's name, his name is Darian, who was actually charged with physically assaulting a son in the past, and then was incarcerated and put on probation for that, correct?
So that my belief is that person was the person that Mrs. Senda Collier had been living with since about January, February of 2026. And when I asked her who she was living with, she just reported that this was somebody she had recently met and hadn't known for a significant amount of time. And then it is also my understanding that when he did assault her, that was a couple weeks ago. It was very recent. And so that is something that has informed the CPS reports. The CPS investigators are involved in that and are currently investigating his status and his criminal history.
But Darian was convicted of assaulting a son in the past, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, can you look into that? Because according to my client, Darian is the person who is actually the one who's threatening her, who she's afraid of right now. Because
That's correct.
He's now no longer incarcerated, so he's out on probation, and he's already making threats for her, correct?
That is correct. That is the person she had been living with since early 2026, and she left his home a couple weeks ago whenever she heard of these allegations related to AC sexual assault. And it was my understanding at that time when things got a little tense between them, and he assaulted Miss Collier.
Okay, can you just talk to her again to make sure that you have the accurate information?
Yes, I'll absolutely do that.
Okay. And then also see if the prosecutor can run Darian's record to see who the victim was in his conviction.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful if we have a last name. Do we have a last name?
Ms.
I've heard Rogers or Banks are the two that I've heard.
Ascenda, I guess, can we just
Well,
unmute her real quick?
well,
Or I can get it for you. I can
yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't think we need to.
Okay.
We've
I'll
got
get it
one
for
witness
you.
on the stand. I don't think we can start taking testimony from somebody
Right.
else. So,
Okay. And are you sure she didn't say, because there's Dari, right? And then there's a Vari with a V. Are you sure it wasn't Vari that assaulted her last week or a couple weeks ago with a V?
My understanding is that this person's name is Devarian, and so he would go by Vari or Ari, or what was the first
Okay.
one that you said?
But
So
again,
overall, I have heard mixed things, which is why I have full trust in the CBS investigators to see kind of.
Ms. Deborah Collier, put your hand down. This is not how court works.
okay, so sorry. So, but you'll check again, you'll talk to her to make sure we've got accurate information, correct?
Yeah, the name I was given by the original CPS investigator before removal, was Devarian Rogers.
Okay, and as far as this current investigation, for Kayloni, now she was seen back in April and there were no concerns listed in her physical, right? At Boston Square?
That is correct.
Okay, so these new concerns, sounds like, are they investigating where she's been placed? I mean, are they doing, not just talking to my client, but also the places where she was residing since her removal?
I can't necessarily speak to where the current CPS investigators are investigating. I'm not privy to those details.
And I'm just going to interrupt. I don't think we need to go down that trail because it sounds like there's a lot of speculation and until that investigation is complete,
Yes.
I think we're wasting time.
Okay, all right, thank you, Your Honor. But again, my client's doing everything requested of her, correct?
Largely, yes. She has been engaging with services and finding employment and finding housing, and is currently seeking treatment for mental health and substance abuse. I would just encourage her to continue to show up for her drug screens, and then ultimately continue to engage in her parent agency treatment plan.
And given the fact that she has some housing issues, will you assist her with any type of transportation issues like bus passes?
Yes, I've provided a bus pass for her, and we've also scheduled lifts for her to and from her residence to the agency for appointments and for or in and out in the community for appointments and for parenting times.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Coletti. You're muted, Ms. Coletti.
Thank you. I apologize. Thank you. With regard to Mr. Smith, if he wants to become father for Casey Younger, would he just, in Ms. Collier's agreement, would you just have them send an AOP? Or do?
So what we would do is we'd have him do a DNA test, which he has agreed to upon his release. Because the release is it's coming up so quickly, we just decided to do it when he's out so as not to go through the hassle of MDOC. And so if that comes back that he is the biological father of younger Casey, he will have him sign an affidavit of parentage.
Okay, thank you. And then with regard to his parenting agency treatment plan, he'll be able to engage with that when he's out?
Yes.
And would that include if Casey the younger, if he is in fact father?
Yes, that is correct. He would be granted parenting times to both Casey the eldest and Casey the youngest, if he is in fact the father of Casey the youngest.
All right. And with regard to unknown father, have you've inquired of Ms. Collier potential fathers for AC?
Yes. In my conversations with Ms. Collier, she denies knowing who the father is.
Okay. Is it possible that Mr. Smith is?
Mr. Smith denies being the father of AC.
Okay. Thank you. No other questions.
Mr. Green, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Ms. Golden, any follow-up?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Green, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Golden, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Coletti, any witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right. Statements, Mr. Green.
Your Honor, I believe this case is moving forward in a positive direction as we see Ms. Collier actively engaging and taking steps to help her mental health and taking steps to become a better parent. We've heard testimony stating that she does very well in parenting time. So I think we're off to a very good start. Obviously, we look forward to Mr. Smith's release and seeing him increase the connection with his child and or children. I certainly applaud Ms. McAvoy. Obviously, as evidenced by her testimony, she's been extremely thorough in terms of helping this case in a very positive direction and providing information that I think assists in the court's analysis. So I enthusiastically support the recommendations, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I do agree with the recommendations. Ascenda has taken so many steps on her own. It's the biggest, issues with substance abuse and mental health, and she voluntarily put herself into Southridge, and she's doing very, very well. She's back on medication. She's got huge support from her family, and I see this case moving forward fairly well. I would just urge the agency worker, because I know my client is concerned that there's some misinformation. So if she could just clarify with her about who was, who were the domestic violence partners and things like that, I would really appreciate it. But I am thrilled to hear that they're moving the kids towards family, because this is a huge, close-knit family. And they're a huge support to my client and to these kids, and always have been. So I do agree with the recommendations. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Coletti.
Thank you, and I agree with the recommendations for both Mr. Smith and unknown father.
All right. Thank you. The court finds that, well, actually, Ms. Golden, Mr. Smith, Mr. Green, I'll get it straight. Mr. Green, have you visited these children?
No, Your Honor, I know there were some questions about the placement of the children, and I'll be honest, I have not. I plan to speak with Ms. McAvoy immediately following this hearing and setting up those visits. I will certainly send emails to the court after that happens, which should be relatively soon, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the court will conditionally find that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute, and will look for those email verifications that has happened very soon. That there's probable cause to believe that the legal father of Casey, the eldest, is Terrence Smith. That the putative father of AC and Casey, the youngest at this time, is unknown and cannot be identified. That return of any of these children to a parent today would cause substantial risk of harm to the juvenile or society based on the testimony that's been given today. That consistent with the circumstances, reasonable efforts to prevent or eliminate the need for removal of the children from the home were made as determined by a prior order. That reasonable efforts shall be made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for these children to safely return home. That custody of these children with a parent today presents a substantial risk of harm to their life, physical health, or mental well-being. That conditions of custody at the placement away from the home with the individual with whom the children are placed are adequate to safeguard these children's health and welfare. That the siblings are not in joint placement because the relative who currently has placement of AC is unable to take all three children due to her high needs. That sibling contact is occurring according to law. The court orders that the children continue in the temporary custody of the court, placed with the Department for Care and Supervision. That the adjudicated respondents, Ms. Collier, Mr. Smith, and the unknown father comply with and benefit from the case service plan. Parenting time of Ms. Collier and Mr. Smith are supervised until further order of the court. I will waive court costs for both parents since Ms. Collier is in inpatient rehab and Mr. Smith is incarcerated currently. I'll continue the appointment of the attorneys in this matter. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for our first review hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, August 19 from 10 to 11.
Any conflicts with that date or time?
Not for me, Your Honor.
I'm checking. I don't know what Mr. Toburin's schedule is, but I could make it if he's not able to.
Okay, Mr. Green?
August 19, 10 to 11, I am available, Your Honor.
Okay, wonderful. I just like to say, Ms. Collier was a ward, when I was a referee and as a judge. So I have a history with her and she has a history with me. Although I am disappointed to see you here, Asenda, I am very impressed with the fact that you have taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, that you've checked yourself in for inpatient treatment, recognized that you have an issue. And that's the first step. And I'm very proud of you for doing that. And I know you're going to be successful. You have your hand up. Let's see. Unmute and I'll let you say something.
Hi, I know, but I have a few concerns.
Okay, if you have concerns, you need to talk with Ms. Golden about them. Okay.
Okay,
She knows what to do to bring them to the court's attention, okay? But I'm sure she doesn't want you talking about them right now without having talked to her first.
no, we just talked in the conference room about it.
Okay, Ms. Golden.
Your Honor, I'll talk to her further about this and also the CPS worker and the foster care worker.
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
but
All
I
right.
have a question about the supervision. Is it possible for family to supervise, or are we just talking the agency? Oh, Grace is shaking her head. Is it possible that they could provide
Can we
that?
get overnights?
All right, hold on. This is not the time for you to talk.
Yes, I can speak to this. So parenting times can be supervised by approved caregivers and family
Okay.
members.
Then I'm
And
going to I'll change my order and make sure that it says at the discretion of the agency so
Thank
that
you.
gives you the discretion to have it somewhere besides the agency and that it be done by a family member.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's crucial for as we move forward with placing the children with the relatives.
That's fine. Thank you. All right. And we're adjourned. Thank you.